Now let's get to Kamala Harris dropping out of the race yesterday. Was this a surprise to insiders?
Yeah, it was. It was shocking to insiders. Most people were very, very surprised by her dropping out, even though we had seen stories and articles about the disarray in her campaign. We have to remember almost a year ago now, Kamala Harris, when she announced on Martin Luther King Day, her video had echoes of Shirley Chisholm, who was the first black woman to run in 1972. She was seen as someone who had a very good chance of getting the nomination as a first black woman who was in a first-tier opportunity in the presidential race to get that nomination. So it is shocking being the first of that top tier at some point in this race to end her campaign. And I think what has happened is that she was not able to find her lane. She did not have the coffers that many of them had going into this race of $1 million from a Senate race, and she had to start from scratch. And let's not forget, she had 20,000 people show up at her rally as well. It was so impressive that even Donald Trump mentioned it. So it was a surprising and disappointing to see from many. And her voice is going to be missed. We have to remember she was the only African-American woman in this race. We have a Democratic Party that's very diverse, where black women are seen as being a key constituency in this party. And now that is gone. And that is something that the party has to think about as a whole. We may not have, on the next debate stage, we may not have a person of color. I mean, that's problematic for the party. And what does that mean moving forward? Joe.
You know, and what's so interesting is one of the reasons we're not going to have a person of color on the debate stage next time is, ironically enough, because Kamala Harris and Cory Booker, as of yet, have not been able to connect with older black voters in a way that Joe Biden has. His politics is a fascinating thing. I remember back in 2008, David Ignatius, Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, actually in late 2007, being frustrated because black voters were still siding with Hillary Clinton over him, but they eventually made that turn. But, you know, with Kamala, she had a great launch. She had really good prospects, but this underlines that stubborn fact that Cokie Roberts would always say. It doesn't matter if you've been a governor, if you've been a congressman, if you've been a business owner, if you've been a military man or woman, or if you've been a senator. It's one thing to do those jobs. It's quite another to run for president of the United States. There is nothing that prepares you for that.
Kamala Harris exploded out of the starting gate, Joe. I remember on your show, she was just extraordinary. And she looked like somebody who would challenge the expectation, maybe, that Biden would emerge as the candidate. Why she faded, why she was unable to develop a message that was as powerful as her personality, I think will be one of the interesting campaign biography details that we'll have to wait for. I'm struck with her dropping out, how this race is still fluid. It's still hard to know where we'll end up after Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. How the race will look then as we head toward the decisive primaries. Still looks like Biden's race, but there's still so many analysts feel uncertainty, a queasiness about it. So how interesting is this late in the long campaign? We're still wondering how it's going to turn out.
And how fascinating that this point in the process, where we're still 2 months away from Iowa, we're still 2 months away from the first Democratic voters or caucus goers picking a candidate, that we've had many potential top-tier candidates already drop out. I will say this, though, about Kamala Harris. Her dropping out surprised a lot of people, but that actually is the smart play. When you get out early and don't wait for the 1,000 articles to be written asking the question, when are you going to finally give up? It actually protects you politically and allows you to live to fight another day.
Which she
Expect
wants to
Kamala
do.
Harris
Yes.
to be running for president again. And my gosh, I'll tell you what she's doing this morning, most likely. She's taking notes on everything she learned in this first run, and it will be used to her advantage the next time she does it. I mean, you look at so many presidents, almost every one of them tried running and lost the first time.
Yeah. Real quick.
I just don't know that we've heard the last from her.
I
spoke
agree.
with someone very
Yeah.
close to her, a top supporter last night, Mika, who said she feels so strongly about this moment that we are in as a nation right now that you cannot rule out that she wouldn't be open to a VP run. The question is, who would she be open to running on a ticket with? This person thought that it's a pretty limited list to Mike Bloomberg and Joe Biden. But we'll see. Stay tuned.
See. Yeah.
Yeah.
Karine Jean-Pierre, thank you so much, and we look
Thank
forward to
you.
having you on later this week. Heidi Prisbilla, thank you for your reporting. Still ahead, Senator and presidential candidate Cory Booker joins the conversation. Plus, is Attorney General William Barr undermining his own Justice Department in order to once again protect President Trump? NBC's Julia Ainsley joins us with her new findings next on Morning Joe.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.